let's make the world a better place just by geeking the out. Today we are joined by Bozer, founder and member of online community For Geeks by Geeks, and we're going to be talking to him today.
Hi. Do I talk now? Is now when I talk? I can just talk.
Actually, I could cut into that and make it like a better intro. So after title drop, that's what's gonna happen, baby. Yo, and there's no bloopers. I'm gonna one take this boy. Welcome back to the Heroes Sports Podcast.
I spoke too soon.
It's okay. You're fine.
Too soon.
Yeah. Once again, welcome back to the Heroes Sports Podcast, where we help geeks, gamers, and cosplayers become the strongest, most confident, and heroic versions of themselves. I'm Troy Bushido, longtime geek, avid D&D player, Xbox streamer, superhero cosplayer, and I finally get to turn the tables on For Geeks by Geeks and bring one of the members onto my show, Bozer. How the hell are you, man?
Oh my god! Hi! This is kind of surreal for me because you were literally, in this format, one of the very first guests. Actually, take that back. You were the very first guest.
No way.
On a Geek Out Sesh in a Twitch format. Because, I mean, we'll talk about it, but we did things in the basement with humans, but when we moved to Twitch, we wanted to test it with somebody that I knew would give me honest feedback, wouldn't hate me, and I was like, Troy's my guy.
Oh, thank you. Come on, we're all just like running, walking experiments, and I think between that and just being a Deadpool fan and the self-awareness fan, it makes it fun to be like, yo, let's one take this. If we screw up, it's going to be a great story to tell and a great lesson to learn. And you realize you never screw up as bad as you think you do. It's all just fun, one take, go nuts. And
no, that's a great point, because I was so worried about doing it perfectly. And now not doing it perfectly has become the For Geeks by Geeks brand.
And that's exactly why the fuck I brought you on here today. We're talking about community, commonality, brand, as well as content creation. All the good stuff that both Bozer and I have been trying to develop over time. And we're just out in the central theme. We're all trying to leave the world like a great place. And especially if you can't get in real world, you can at least get in cyberspace. Quick reminder to everybody, our episodes are in YouTube podcast format. So while I also could give you the spiel of, hey, like, subscribe, if you like this all stuff, great, blah, 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 blah. Just remember, put your device down. Just feel free to have us running in the background while you cook, clean, work out, or geek out. Hence why Bozer's here.
Okay, I'm stealing that.
You got it. I figured that's and you know what? There's going to be a lot of fourth wall in this episode. We're going to be talking a lot of behind the scenes when it comes to content creation, so I might as well just do it now. I figured, for YouTube algorithm, they could look at watch time. I figured, you don't actually have to stare at your screen to get the watch time. You put it down, and honestly, as long as the sucker's running.
As long as it's running. No, but I'm always so curious what people are actually doing while they're watching or listening, because I know they're not sitting watching on YouTube or listening. They're driving, they're cooking, they're, I don't know, building Lego set. They're doing something, and I'm so curious what they're doing.
You know what? We are probably going to be the worst episode to do when you relax and try to find paint a Warhammer mini. Because I can't do model mini painting to begin with. I can only imagine being just hearing two Midwest over-enthusiastic schmucks just screaming into microphones. Which, by the way, is my sound quality okay? Am I cracking or am I all right?
No, I think you're fine.
Okay, just making sure. Because that's another thing. I had to check my sound quality on my end, and sometimes I'll over-pop the mic. It's an experimentation, and we're actually going to talk about that.
You're learning. We're all learning. But can I just say,
sure,
what a refreshing switch. I'm not a guest on anything. I'm always the host. And this is I'm catching myself mentally. I'm like, no, I shouldn't say that. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. It's not my show.
It ain't your show. It's my show. Let me deal with the mess. By the way, I keep the mess.
Can we swear on here? Is this okay?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because right now my YouTube algorithm isn't powerful enough to catch me and demonetize me for swearing, because I'm not even I'm not even there yet. Help, please. Like and subscribe.
If you want, yeah, like and subscribe. Smash, 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 smash,
Smash,
smash.
smash, smash, smash. I'll I'll pop the button and post and be like,
There you go.
but like, a lot of times, even now, I'm just like, hey, I'll bleep the first probably 3 swears, and then from there, all bets are off.
Why bleep the first 3 then? Just
For the first 30 seconds, my hypothesis, and it could be completely wrong, is the first minute, is the first minute of view time, you want to keep it clean, and then after that, it's looser, and looser.
I have heard the first 30 seconds.
Yeah.
As long as you don't swear,
Yeah.
then you're not gonna pop, because there's some creators that like you're doing, kind of break down that fourth wall, and they're like, hey, what's up? I'm not gonna swear right now because I don't want to get demonetized, but thanks for tuning in.
Exactly, and I'm deliberately gonna pop either a full bleep in the intro, or I'm going to find a funny sound effect. My favorite sound effects for bleeping swears is the beep beep sound from Final Fantasy VII, the dolphin.
Just use this. Here's your sound clip.
Yeah, something like that. So I will bleep my first 30 seconds, but after this, like I said, all bets are off. So anybody who's listening in while I do stuff, just curse along with us. It's gonna be a fun time. But let's go back to the beginning. We're talking community building. What originally inspired you to create For Geeks by Geeks? What was the vibe like, the process like with your crew at the time? Because I know you had you've had a, not a rotating lineup, but a lineup of friends, come in, work with you, come out. You've had tenured members. Tell me a little bit about the beginning and the whys and the hows.
So I love telling this story because it's so funny to me. PK and I were the original founders of For Geeks by Geeks, and we know each other in life, and we were working together. And anybody who knows PK knows that he is a flighty human being, and I love him and fully accept him for
We
that.
love you, PK.
You don't get into bed with PK without knowing that he's going to disappear for a minute. He's going to have flights of fancy. He's going to be really excited about things and then completely change gears. And so while working with him, he said, so Bozer, what would you think? And Bozer's not my real name, by the way. He didn't call me Bozer, but he's like, what would you think if we started a YouTube channel? Or no, it was a podcast. He wanted to do a podcast where people just get to geek out about whatever they're into. And I was like, okay. Knowing you for who you are, give that some thought. Come back to me. I'm interested, but I need to know that this could actually be a thing. And so, like PK, he came back the next day. He's like, all right, the first 10 episodes, here's what we do. Here's how we market it. Here's who our guests are. Here's the topics. Here's some games that we play on the channel. And I said, well, I stand corrected. You've given this some thought. I'm here for it. Let's do it. Because the thought was that, if you come to For Geeks by Geeks, you'll learn quickly that, while we're passionate about a lot of geek things, we're more excited about the entire circle of geek culture. Just the idea of it, right?
Yes.
And we feel like, especially people our age, like millennials, don't have a safe space. We grew up getting bullied in high school, and so those passions that we cared about then haven't gone away, but we just need to know that there's going to be a cushy blanket where you can cuddle up and geek the fuck out about Transformers, about an anime, about comics, about whatever you're into, about content creation, about painting minis, where you can, in full glory, get excited about what you're into, and there's going to be somebody there geeking out with you. So that's what we do.
Boom.
And so for the first few episodes, he and I sat at my kitchen table upstairs around a podcast mic, a Yeti, Blue Yeti, and we talk to each other, and oh my god, if you, like sometimes I go back and watch that very first episode, and first of all cry because it's touching, and second of all laugh because how far we've come and what we thought that we should be doing back then. It feels fake as fuck, honestly.
Well,
But-
fake it till you make it. Sometimes you gotta ham it up, and then to find your authentic flow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yup. Exactly, and that's what you do. So yeah, we faked it till we made it, and then we had guests on who were passionate about tabletop gaming or Overwatch or a certain anime or a video game, and then we quickly moved down here to the basement because this basement was a mess, and I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna have a studio, so I'm gonna clean it up, and nothing inspires Bozer like a project, some selfish need. I will clean the house if it's for myself. And so then I create a studio. We painted the walls. This one's teal. The next room is orange.
Wow.
And originally those were our like theme colors, our brand
Oh,
colors.
that's right.
Mhm.
I'm thinking back of I had the version 1 tank top, and I can remember the colors. Teal, orange, white, wasn't it?
Just thank you. Yep. Just thank you.
When I actually worked in fit, it's funny that we discussed our origin stories, and we both went from a live in-person space to a fancy ass virtual space, virtual
Thank you,
studio
COVID.
space. And I remember I still worked in fitness studios and stuff like that, and I would be working out in the For Geeks by Geeks tank top, doing the functional training like CrossFit bullshit. So
Ugh.
I'm slamming a sledgehammer onto a flat tire, just boom, boom, and I'm like,
With the big FGBG, baby.
yeah, FGBG right there. I'm just
I remember when you found us at C2E2.
yes.
And it was the after party, and by choice, you were wearing that tank top. And PK and I just strained tears. Oh my god. I can't believe that somebody we know bought into anything that we're doing. This is amazing.
Yes, thank you. It was the second time I did that kind of after party at C2, so I knew my little inside tip was go comfortable in the after parties. People love full cosplay in the after parties, and part of me is thinking you're gonna get lit Christmas tree style. Whether you drink or not, you're gonna get lit just by energy and vibe of the place.
Energy.
Yeah, so it's okay, if you're gonna lug around your cosplay, you're gonna feel horrible the next day. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have a cosplay break. I did have at the time it was called Superhero Forge hoodie, but under it I'm like, For Geeks by Geeks tank top.
Honestly, that meant the world, and shout out to anybody that buys small creators gear. I proudly wear so much of it, and T does the same.
Yeah.
He's my current ride or die,
Yeah.
and probably always ride or die at this point. And he just loves supporting small creators and repping their merch and starting conversation about it. That is a small thing, but it means the world. So go out, find your creator you're passionate about, buy their merch.
Yeah, shout out to the previous guest we had, Starfall Kaz, who I'm going to be rocking her Johnny Silverhand 3D print soon.
Excuse me?
I
What do you mean?
Okay,
a
so-
shirt or a...
She
Like a
3D
print?
printed the Keanu Reeves arm from Cyberpunk, and I gotta figure out how to put that sucker on an arm sleeve and a glove. And so
Yes.
the whole concept of it's actually, I used to write aspiring cyberpunk in a lot of my bios, because the only way I think of being a modern day cyberpunk is to buy small biz and buy small creators. Shop small
Fuck
biz.
corpos?
Fuck
Yeah.
corpos. So if, at this point, the only corpo that really has me on lock is Amazon.
Sure.
But
Because they make the small content so attainable,
Yeah.
accessible.
exactly. So they make the small crap attainable. But if I had to get anything significant, it's gonna be commission. It's gonna be Etsy. It's gonna be somebody's stuff, somebody's experience.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the only two corpos that have me right now is Amazon and Aldi. That's it.
I wouldn't think of Aldi as a corpo.
You don't,
but
because
knowing
they're not ran by one. They are ran so lean.
you pay for your car, bitch.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it's they're ran lean by to a fault, not by default, but to a fault, because they're so
fault.
understaffed. So you better be ready.
But did you know? And I learned this when I walked into a Trader Joe's, same corporation,
Yeah.
Aldi,
Yeah.
Trader Joe's, because I saw that they were like taking notes of inventory on a fucking piece of cardboard.
Yeah.
And I said, do they not give you paper here? And they're like, oh no, it's just, it's there, so why not use it? That's kind of our whole mindset. And I'm like, okay, TJs, I see you. I see you.
And then Aldi's the same way of like some people will. So you gotta nowadays it's a bring your own bag. They don't do plastic anymore. They went completely green. So they only offer paper, reusables, which you're kind of expected to bring back, or you basically snag one of the boxes that had the bulk items in it. So like the box that says empty, you shove everything else.
It's definitely a vibe. And if you're like a Walmart ride or die person, you walk into an Aldi, then you will be shocked. PSA, be prepared. It's a different culture. Bring something to take your groceries out.
Yes. And it's kind of, going back to like topics I had. Yeah, vibe and what you want to project to your community is huge. Has the open space, open forum to geek out kind of been the core of For Geeks by Geeks, like since day one? And is it like that still, like keeping it 100?
Oh my god, great turnaround, by the way, great bridge. And yeah, because I tell all my guests and all the people I geek out with, like, I am not an expert in anything. I really am not. Like, all this, it's all fake. I don't know who these people are. I'm just kidding. I'm pointing at posters, by the way, behind me for the podcast audience.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's an eclectic group here behind me. Like, I'm not an expert in anything, and that's why we have experts come on and geek out so that we get the algorithm working for us. But it's been so amazing. Like, I have met so many amazing humans through this channel, and I don't regret a moment of it, because our vibe is not perfection. Our vibe is not that come here for everything you need to know about this. It's we're humans, they're humans. I don't know shit. They know more than I do. Come and hang out, because you are allowed to be passionate about something, whether it's geek or not, even if you don't know everything about it. Like, you are allowed. We don't have a gatekeeping mindset, and we are like anti-gatekeeping.
Boom.
Like, I'm fucking over that mindset, and it honestly enrages all of us on the channel when anybody comes to us with some energy that's like, oh, actually, you don't know this. Like, no, I don't know this, but I still enjoy it. Fuck off.
And one of the big reasons why Heroes Forge eventually drifted into personal development and slowly becoming the core of it, like, I've been in fitness for 15 years, and I still don't know shit. Two,
So honest.
So honest. Yeah, my physique is a reflection of normal guy who does his best. I feel like my physique is I call it the reluctant hero physique. It's not a fitness model physique. So it ain't like that doesn't have to be. It's the guy who gets thrust into situations, and can they get through it? And the point being, as we drifted more into PDev, that's the thing. You going curious, exploring, and there is an elitism there. And here's the original thought that came to mind. Like, I truly believe sometimes elitism is a byproduct of insecurity.
100,000%.
So, like, a lot of elitists,
you can see that shit from a mile away. Yeah. And that's why it pisses me off, because insecurity, and I don't know if this is a bad thing to say, insecurity pisses me off, because it's like, we're all insecure about so many things, but so many times it's painted then in a completely different way, in a harmful way, in an elitist way, like you said, in a gatekeeping way, and it's like, we don't need that. Just be you. Be your authentic self, and be prepared for people to love that person.
It's easier to love. It's way easier to love. You know what? I think the biggest weird catch-22 is people are insecure about their authentic selves because they think it's going to be rejected. But ironically, that insecurity brings about people that actually would have an axe to grind about it. So like, let's say for instance, if I'm insecure about my authentic self and I project a different person, people are iffy about that type of person or about that person. I don't know how, I don't know why, I'm still researching. People can smell bullshit and people can smell an authentic person. They sense it. They may not have the verbiage or the psychological know-how to kind of like dissimulate or like put in the words in their head, but they get the ick. They're like, something weird about you. Like, you are maybe a little too, maybe you get the gatekeeper vibe, the elitist vibe come off a person. You get, maybe that person's hiding something, maybe that person's overcompensating. I don't know how and don't know why yet, which is why I drifted Heroes Forge into personal development, because I want to be able to put words into situations of why people feel less about themselves and then project those things.
It's like, who started that, you know? Like, who taught us to be insecure?
Here's the thing, ego, I think. Scarcity mindset, because a lot of the alpha bros, and I'll stereotype that, a lot of the alpha bros have such a scarcity mindset about everything. Like, there's always, and I'm gonna let's just frame the alpha bro, cis male, mid to late, mid 20s to mid 30s, and they have a scarcity mindset of, they think there's not enough money in the world, they think there's not enough women in the world, they think there's not enough status in the world. Like, the amount of followers you get is less followers for me.
Yeah.
The more clout you get, the less for me.
Yep.
You got a girlfriend, one less girl in the market for me.
No. Oh my god, it's so backwards.
It's ass backwards, and
it's ass backwards.
It's very ass backwards, and I've seen it so long, and that's the thing about it. And one of the reasons why I had my first 3 guests on Heroes Forge be Starfall, then you, and then shout out to Yellow Fox. She's coming. They're coming soon.
Cool.
It's all about exploring community and inclusiveness. That's the reason why, and that's kind of like the just kind of rolling everything back to the overall theme. Like, you know, what things did you learn about? What secret sauce did you learn about, like, brand, community, inclusivity? Like, what did you already have that kind of like innate talent to be very inclusive when you first started For Geeks by Geeks, or did that like grow over time? Did you develop that as you did this?
Ish. So I am a theater guy, and the theater in and of itself is an inclusive environment. So I was born and bred, like, touching back on something you said earlier, like, I wasn't good at anything growing up. I really feel like I didn't have a strong place in the world until I found the theater, where I had my unique assets, which were goofy, which were loud, like dramatic as fuck. And in that place, it was celebrated. It wasn't a detriment. It was an asset. And so early on, that taught me that no matter what you've got going on for you, there is a place where you will be celebrated. You just have to find that. Yeah. And so now we've taken that mindset into For Geeks by Geeks, and this is at the foundation. We say, welcome back to For Geeks by Geeks, your place to geek out.
Nice,
because we believe that when you geek out loud, y'all, when you celebrate what you're into, and you're not worried about those gatekeepers, those alpha males, when you like shout out, I am into this thing, then oddly enough, people are attracted to you. People with those like mindsets, those interests will be drawn to you, and you can't help it. But I feel that those people that are into something, but they're like, no one else is into this thing, and I feel isolated, you're probably just not sharing that loud that you're into it. You just need to be bold, be brave, say, yep, I'm into ponies. Like, who's into ponies with me? And most people will say, nope, you're a fucking weirdo, or not me, or it's not my thing, guy. But those small niche environments that are into that thing with you, they will be drawn to you. And then all of a sudden, you are no longer alone. And that's the great thing. Like you were talking about the scarcity mindset. It's so opposite to that. There is enough for all of us because all of us are not into the same thing. But when you share what you're into, when you geek out loud, other geeks will be drawn to you, and then you all of a sudden you create a community. And so that's why I love our community. Like I proudly, whenever we have a guest on, and we do in the similar format to you, we do on Twitch, and then we share on YouTube and podcast. And sometimes Twitch can be merciless, you know?
Yeah.
But I say our Twitch community, it's small but mighty and so loving because we don't geek out about a one specific thing. We geek out about inclusiveness and love. So that because we geek out loud about that thing, and I'm literally having this idea, I didn't realize this until right now, actually. Because we geek out about inclusiveness, that's why our community is so fucking amazing. Because we attracted like-minded humans.
Boom.
Wow.
And one thing that may have also happened is, as a side thought, curiosity may have also even supplemented it. Because if there's many times in geek community, even especially in your community, specifically in For Geeks by Geeks, where people get curious about things that weren't originally in my bag. And so there's been times like where I'm still not into miniature wargaming, but I love the concept. I love watching it. So shout out to TT.
And same. And the fact that somebody is, I'm like, well, there must be more to that I'm not exploring. Yeah.
You know how many animes I got thrown into just because I just got curious? Because a strong enough community is like, you gotta see this. Especially in cosplay, they're like, yo, you got the look, so you better watch this so you know what to do. I'm like, what? And they just throw a character at me, and I'm like, oh, I do look like him. Yeah, watch the show for a few episodes. You'll love the show. I'm like, okay.
And then you cosplay it, and then if you cosplay, not that you have to, but it makes you want to learn more about that character so that when people get excited with you at a con, you can actually have some semblance of an idea.
Exactly. The funniest part about it, oh god, Alex drew me into Lore Olympus. I'm still not the biggest, like, it's on the biggest first priority list as far as fandoms go, but the Lore Olympus fandom is legion. They're strong, they're powerful.
Writing it down.
I had to do my Lore Olympus homework to cosplay Hades for her. You know, I was like, God, you're putting me in blue paint and then you're giving me homework. All right, let's do it. Lore Olympus it is. Let's go. I told her after that cosplay, I'm like, yeah, I'm only doing this once a year because that blue body paint is a bitch.
Did you have to do your whole body or?
Most of it. So, okay, I either A, face body paint down to shoulders and my hands, or B, and there was one time I did in Chicago for Cos Meetup. They did a Jackson Park meetup in late March of last year, and I was freezing my balls off because I wore a toga in blue body paint. I'll put up the picture in post, and I'll send it to you later. But
please do.
That was a bitch to wear. But like, again,
do you
I had to
remember
do the homework of like getting the character down. I'm sorry?
Do you remember the makeup brand? Like, I'm so
forget.
curious about body paint because
that's actually an Alex question. She would definitely know.
Okay.
Yeah.
As a theater guy, I'm like, so what won't rub off and what will fade over time?
Alex's pro tip is she would like not bathe me in baby powder, but like right after the body paint's on, she'd run me into the shower and not turn the shower on. She'd run me into the bathtub and then just.
Yep. It's a sealant.
Seal it. Yeah.
To protect them.
To protect it. That's I don't remember the brand, but that's exactly the Alex trick. Those are a lot of her bags. She did special effects makeup in college. She does crazy cosplays. But with that said, like, one thing that people always ask me about cosplay is I usually like cosplaying characters that I can, and as a theater person, play. It's a huge part. Like, just wearing a costume is one thing.
Cosplay. Right,
But-
it's not costuming, it's cosplay.
Cosplay. So
Be
there,
it.
the be it. There is a bit of method acting to it. That's why I always did the Spider-Mans and the Nightwings, because my body was able to move that way. My mind and vibe was able to move that
Killer
way.
Nightwing, by the way. Killer Nightwing.
Thank you. It's one of my favorites. But like, and again, like you said, you study that character. Yo, what's up, guys? Troy here from the editing table. And speaking of talking about communities, we have our own community on Discord. The link is in the description below. We not only talk about workouts, motivation, nutrition, but we also talk about life tips. We talk about our fandoms from TV, anime, movies, video gaming, tabletop, crafting, especially cosplay crafting. So find your niche, find your community within our awesome heroes online. Link to the Discord is in the description below. And now, back to the interview. I did want to ask you, as time goes on, what are, I know we're going to talk back about the behind the scenes in a second, but what are your current fandoms? What's your, as Bowser, what's your favorite geek stuff at the moment? And have you ever like had people get like, who weren't into that before, get drawn into it because of what you did? Or because of how much you presented it?
Yeah, like, okay, I love the Marvel universe. Like, I just started the first episode of Secret Invasion yesterday. And, like, we had plans last night, and I'm like, cancel them. I want to watch the show. But my wife's like, no, we're going out. Top it. We'll catch up on it later. And Secret Invasion, behind the scenes, in college, I didn't read many comics growing up, but in college I knew a guy that, this is such a side story. In college I knew a guy that had a huge collection, and he would just give me comics to read, and he was like, here, read this. And it was the Secret Invasion arc in Marvel. And so for me, I felt like as a comic nerd, I'm like, oh, well, I know something in the Marvel DCU.
They're all mixing up.
What'd I say? Oh my God.
Blending.
And so I've been waiting for this moment to happen ever since Iron Man. Anyway, how'd I get on this?
We're talking about like your diehard fandoms, like your current fandoms, your big things that you're geeking out about.
Oh yeah, I'm really excited about the Marvel universe because I love it's all connected. And I find that's a very accessible conversation topic.
Yeah.
I love that I can usually use that to broach any subject with a stranger because it's so mainstream. And then that opens the door for deeper conversation or about other geekdoms. So I love that. But through FGBG, D&D, TTRPGs in general.
I was going to ask you about that. We'll get to that.
I'd never played D&D before we started doing it live on the channel. And I just fell in love with it because as a theater guy, like it is theater. It's theater, the mind, it's character. And currently I'm GMing my first campaign, homebrew campaign.
What?
Oh my God. And that's what I geek out about right now. It's like what I think about any chance I get. It's about, okay, my players have made these decisions. What's going to happen next in the story? It's called Cloudscape. Go check it out. It's like a fantasy meets futuristic world where humanities had to leave planet level because of an apocalyptic event and moved to towering cities on towers in the clouds. But through the clouds, they find some really versatile element called Zodicium. And it can power cities, it can power engines, and it can grant superpowers. And yeah, it's just like, I could geek out about that in a whole other episode.
Oh
I
my
love
God.
it.
We got, bring me back on your show. We'll talk campaign building. World building. Because, like,
Okay.
I did a very similar thing. I world built. And this was from the makings of, like, 3 years ago. So I did a couple D&D one-shots for Cos Meetup on stream. It was during COVID. And I did a Disney princess / like, warrior princess, like, 2-shot. And then I decided to world build outside of that. And then ChatGPT came around, so it was not something I rip off, but it's a writer's block buster.
Oh, sure.
It breaks writer's block so easily because I'm
AI
like,
is an amazing tool.
Yes.
I'm here for it.
Yeah.
And right now is the worst it will ever be. It's going to continue to be more beneficial
Yeah.
and ideally helpful, not take over the planet.
yeah, exactly. So like I did feel that, and I also had a similar thing of like a energy source powering magical stuff. Because okay, let's dial you back. So I based it on vibranium, where
Okay.
a meteor hits the planet. It's called the Azure
Did you read my
medium.
session notes?
I'm sorry, what?
Did you read my session notes?
No, I didn't.
I haven't shared those with anybody. How
did.
did you get a hold of those?
I thought I'm like, okay, there's something called an Azure meteor, drops on the world. People realize, and it becomes a magical focus. So elitists that think that used to be only able to power their magic through their bloodline, like sorcerers' bloodlines.
Yeah.
Now magic's accessible to anybody who knows how to tinker with it. So artificers all of a sudden used as a power source and stuff like that. And then, of course, in the history, there was a war over the dang thing because all these nations are like coming down on it.
course.
Finally, they created a treaty. Now it's all shared. Now it's all mining, commodity, and now every nation that likes that type of magic tech can build things up. The airships.
Magitech. I love that.
Magitech or rune tech is what they call it. And so
Cool.
artificers, and there's basic workshop at sea level artificers that can create magic items, and then you have the Tony Starks of the world that make cities.
Broad scale, yeah.
Yeah, broad scale it. And then and that's literally what my setting was. And then I just had certain regions of the world pop in and out, and then I had one mini series I just we just put on hold because of work schedules. That's the thing about tabletop. Sometimes campaigns go on hold because of scheduling.
It's what it's, for sure.
It is what it is. They were just about to take on a dragon mob boss.
Mob boss dragon? That's so cool.
I don't know if I should go further into this. You're the guest. I don't know if I should go further, but
No, it's so interesting that you kind of expanded into the war because similarly, I was trying. I was thinking, like before even session 0, I was planning out the whole world, and I'm like, well, there would have been a war over this kind of thing, and I'm like, you know what? I don't need that kind of stress. It's TTRPG. I go there to escape. I don't want to bring global war over this.
Well, that's what I did. Ended up
so cool.
Yeah, that's what I ended up doing. I was like, okay, it already happened. People figured it out.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
They figured out, oh yeah, there is more than enough. In fact, there was so much of it that in the campaign I just ran, the section of the world was a wasteland, a desert wasteland. But floating above the desert wasteland is a literal floating city powered by the runes, like Bastion Cloud City. The vibe and aesthetics Agrabah, because I was inspired by Dubai.
Cool.
Fancy ass city in the middle of fucking nowhere. I said fantasy Dubai above the desert. And then I thought Las Vegas because desert city, and I'm like, well, back in the day Las Vegas had mobsters. Who would be a mobster of mobster, a godfather of a godfather? Oh, a tiefling that's actually a dragon.
Dope. Oh my god, you maybe want to go watch, or can I watch this anywhere? Can I listen to this somewhere?
This is just my own. I might actually make a show.
So, okay, here's the question.
Yes.
Because so much of D&D and tabletop has gone onto podcasting and YouTube, like ours has. But now it's like just because you can, should you? Because the fact that, like, I'm like, where can I listen to this? And I'm like, oh, it's a home brew. We just play around a table. That's foreign to me now.
Right? Okay, so
what are your thoughts on that?
One of the godfathers of tabletop is a YouTuber named Matt Colville. He is actually an invaluable reference in the tabletop community. Actually, some of the great DMs actually but they listen to Matt Colville's insights. Even Mercer, king of DMs right now, listens to some concepts from Matt Colville. That's how I encountered Matt Colville, is when Matt Mercer put on a video, recommended him. So he used to do
Matty Daddy.
Matty Daddy, yep. He used to do what he called campaign logs or campaign journals, where he just literally vlog what happened. And he'd just be in front of the camera. It's like, oh yeah, so this is what my party did with Kyle Roll the Vial in the Keep on the Borderlands, and he'd tell the story. That concept is old school, like 5 years ago, old school, and I think that was because this was what back in.
Is 5 years ago old school now?
That's the scary part, like because when I saw these
Oh my gosh.
when I saw these vlogs that Matt Colville recorded, these were the days of first campaign Critical Role.
I guess, yeah, that was 5 years ago.
At least 5 years.
Wow. At least.
Yeah.
I mean, they were playing around a table, I'm sure, much longer, and Matt's been playing so much longer. But
Yeah.
I can't believe that in 5 years, like, the meta of D&D has shifted so much.
Shifted even more because now everyone's not only world building, they're system building. I am writing my own game system.
Are you really?
Yeah, it's
Dice rolling system?
Yeah, it's a 5e rules light that I based off some of the old school, because there's a subgenre of tabletop called OSR, old school Renaissance. It's a bunch of these Gen Xers recreating versions of D&D First Edition from the 70s and 80s.
Wow.
So the idea is to. There's two things about OSR. One is it's a very sword and sorcery vibe. So it's low to medium magic settings typically. So you're thinking Conan the Barbarian. You're thinking Game of Thrones is low magic, as they say, but these sword and sorcery settings. So it's very old school. You may get Tolkien races, if that, and then their rule sets were just different. So I thought of doing OSR for making a rules light system of D&D, of like, instead of a giant stat sheet of a bunch of things you do, have a very simplified stat sheet and flexibility within the game to try different things. That's an upcoming meta of tabletop, is everyone's gonna start system building, because remember the debacle Wizards of the Coast had about their
Do I remember the debacle of Wizards of the Coast?
Yeah, so
I had very sordid thoughts about going to see the movie.
Yeah, because
like, do I want to support this?
Like,
yeah, I'm gonna go see it anyway.
Oh yeah, that's like, oh my god, Hasbro's being a dirty corpo with Wizards of the Coast.
Corpos
suck. And so I truly believe, and we're off topic, but I don't care because we're actually no, we basically hit my script, so we could go way off.
Are we geeking out?
We are geeking out.
Geeking out loud. Oh my god, are we now on FGBG?
Right? We just
so tell me about your love of D&D.
But well, I knew we were gonna get into tabletop because that was a big giant passion between you and me that we both have. That was our massive common ground, so I knew we were gonna like tackle this hard. But like after that debacle, I think the next meta is gonna be game building, especially with Critical Role creating two systems at Darrington Press. That might be the next step up. Is the 5e system. Like the only competitor 5e had for the past few years was Pathfinder, and Pathfinder 2nd Edition. And then maybe like whatever Call of Cthulhu system is out there. Now people are like, yo, I can make my systems. I can make some match systems. I can.
And you know what's interesting? Like very timely in this discussion, just today, like this morning, T was texting me, and T has been my like gateway into the D&D sector. He taught me how. He was my first DM in several campaigns now, but there is something that he found that you can build your own RPG, like create your own RPG, and it's like digital, and it kind of blends kind of a Roll20 minds kind of setup, and then you can create like Pokemon versus Final Fantasy. Like you can create it. Jeez. And he wants to create one that mirrors Kingdom Come, which is our first FGBG like official D&D campaign that we played. Wow. And that was my first D&D campaign. And I'm like, bring Balor, my Dragonborn Barbarian, into this?
Yes.
Hell yeah, let's go! And that's a story that he had been building for years, and he was thrilled to be able to bring that to life through our table. And, I mean, we fucked it up majorly, but it's interesting. Like, it's exactly what you're saying, is that is the next sector of the meta, is creating new, because someone showed us how. and they made it accessible.
Exactly, and that's the crazy part, and it may be a booming market because we're all board game collectors, we're tabletop collectors, so there is going to be a market for like tabletop building and not just building a literal tabletop, but like the game systems and stuff like that, and the market may just blow the hell up. Oh my god, we could talk about all that. I only have one.
So curious.
Yeah, right. I only have, and I lost my segue. I was so uncool in the segues, but now I have to literally double back because we've been talking about fandoms, and I wanted to talk a little bit about like secrets to content creation and building your channels, and where do you allocate your time? How do you balance that with life? How do you pick which things to throw into the show? Which geekdoms do you hold on to that you hold to the vest? Anything like that. Like we've been about behind the scenes, filmed with a studio audience vibe this whole show, but let's really like pull back curtains.
All right. And this is really like what I geek out about is the pulling back the curtain behind the content creation, which is so interesting to me because the last decade I've spent really in social media, like not only through FGBG, but through like my work. I work at a theater, but I'm the marketing director and social media is my life. Like I work here. And so I'm always curious about like what that really means. And since I began working in this area to now, content creation has become like the number one job that people want. Like ask kids what they want to be. They want to be an influencer. They want to be a content creator. And so I am all about, especially with my guests on the Geek Out sessions, I was like, what does that really mean? What does that really look like? And I've learned that balance, like you said, is the most important thing. And so while For Geeks by Geeks, like I emphasize the for geeks. Like we are geeks, we geek out about a lot of shit, but we want to be for you. But and I don't know, like it's a daily balancing act between like me and especially T. Is sometimes we butt heads on what we should be doing, what kind of things we should bring into the show, whether it's a new streaming day, whether it's like a collaboration. Because as you mentioned at the start of the episode, For Geeks by Geeks has been a little bit of a rotating door between heads of the channel. It was PK and I, and then it was PK Moose and I, and now it's T and I. Like I've been the one constant.
Yes.
But not because I have lasting power, but because burnout is so incredibly important to recognize.
Yes.
And for me, it is my number one priority for anybody on our show, because it's not just T and I, it's also, we've got 5 other members with our Cloudscape, our TTRPG campaign. And balance is the most important thing to me, because if we're geeking out about something, that is your escape from life. But as soon as it becomes the life, then you need a separate escape. And it's no longer fun. Fun has to be at the center of this, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That's
so,
yeah.
To really answer your question, what I would say is Monday nights, we do a Geek Out Sesh. It's every Monday night until it's not. If I've got work going on, I cancel. And T offers, he's like, well, do you want me to stream? I'm like, no, that's not your night. Don't do it. Enjoy your life. If my guest has to cancel, done. That's fine. I was prepped for a Geek Out Sesh. If they have to cancel, then I don't stream. It's fine. Because I want to show that it's okay to not be every single moment of every single day. And with our TTRPGs, we pre-record on Saturday mornings, and our guests that we kind of auditioned for this new arc, we said, here's where we're going to record. It's going to be this time to this time. We're not going to be throwing out like, well, we can't record then, so let's hit a Thursday, let's hit a Sunday. No, we just don't record that day. Balance is so important. It's got to be the escape. It's got to be fun. And as soon as it's not, then the entire mission that you were building for collapses.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've seen so many situations where passion wanes when it becomes a grind.
Yep.
Sort of reason why I veered. I shouldn't say veered away from fitness, but I brought in from fitness to personal development at Heroes Forge. And one, I had to brought it out from superheroes. One, because this sucker, it's a D20. This sucker's starting to really infiltrate my psyche here. And my love of TTRPGs has only grown in the past 3-4 years. So while society may be getting a little bit of superhero burnout, this sucker's lighting fast. So Generalized Heroes was starting
and it's lasted for
lasted this long.
40 years?
Yeah, exactly. And then I went from Superhero Forge Fitness to Heroes Forge Coaching because at the root, it's like, yeah, you gotta be, you're doing all this to take care of yourself. You're doing this to present the best version of yourself and feel good about yourself while you're by yourself and with others. So, at that point, I'm like, I was working in fitness and I was doing the whole fitness content creation thing for as long as I could. And I was like, and even on days where I was burnt out of it, cooked out of it, not wanting to do it, I'd do it, and I'd ask myself, well, why? It's because I want that core of people feeling good about themselves in general, just feeling awesome about themselves. And at that point, I'm like,
that's at the heart.
Why not just put your heart in the sleeve and broaden out? And maybe I had a little ask myself, why don't you? And I think the fear was social media wants us to niche down. We're fighting algorithms by pegging ourselves into holes. And the more narrow the hole, the better the business, they say. And I'm glad I could talk to you about this because you being in social media and in marketing and in content creation, you've heard the cliche. And there's starting to become a lot of creators saying niching and narrowing is only one tool. Start broad. And if you feel like you're too niche to narrow down and you feel throttled, maybe it's time to broaden out.
Throttled is a great term for it.
Yeah. Because yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, before we were recording, we were talking about the idea of. Oh my God, I just lost my thought. Before we were recording, we were literally talking about the niche and the fact that the algorithm was a fun puzzle to figure out because it was a puzzle you could figure out.
Keyword was.
Now it's just like, oh, you think you figured it out? Well, we're going to switch the game. And it's like, it's clickbait as fuck. And it pisses me off.
Oh, yeah, it is.
And I think that authenticity is going to be the longer lasting key to all of this. Like before I met with you today, I was like scrolling and everything I saw just felt like somebody doing exactly what the algorithm felt that they should. And I'm like, is this the hamster wheel that we're all running on? How long is this going to last? And T and I talk about niching down all the time. I'm like, we don't have a huge audience because we haven't niched down. Like we geek out about anything that our guests want to, and we have D&D, and it's not very small. But because it's not small means it's fun for us. Yeah. Like as soon as we mark it down, it becomes a job.
Yeah. Or you feel like you're shackled by your niche.
Yeah, throttled
by it. Quite frankly, that's what ended up happening in the fitness industry with me. Because like, keep in mind, I was in the industry, being a trainer in gyms. Before I went online and created Superhero Forge, I was already in fitness for 12 years. And then I tried going online for 3 years. Going into year 3.5, year 4, I'm like, yo, there's only so many things I could say about this. And in so many ways that'll ring true. And on top of that, it's an industry that is so there's a lot of money thrown into it. There's a lot of specificity thrown into it. There's a lot of cults being made by it. Because we're talking about diet. So I'm like, at the core, I'll work with the core, and then what I could grab becomes the awesome thing to talk about. Like, will I do a few fitness stuff for solo episodes? Yes, but every guest I'm bringing on here we haven't talked about a push-up yet. We have
Right.
not uttered burpee out of my mouth at all. I had cosplayer con queen here. I have you now. I have somebody talking about neurodivergencies next episode.
I love that. That's an important conversation, and we should continue to celebrate it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like we as geek community need more help than just get in shape. Because as I've learned in my own business, there's many ways to skin a cat. So if I had to specify my business, I'd again be throttled. But at the same time, if I brought in marketing, I should say, is like, oh, well, now you're just a little too vague and may not get the audience you want. And it's just
So meta.
It's so meta.
But I love what you're doing, Troy. I really do, because you are trying to reach the person at their heart, and I've experienced it myself. There's been times where I've super motivated to work out, not always for great reasons, but that motivation, because of where I was working out hardcore. But until I was in touch with who I am, if I'm like depressed or if I'm sad, I'm not gonna work out. If I'm not feeling like I can express who I am, I'm not gonna work out. But you are unlocking that, and then you are expanding that into their body and their mentality and their emotional intelligence, and you're doing the well-rounded thing, and I think that's highly responsible and highly needed, and I commend you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Look, it's the circle back around to you, because I don't want just make this a little massive circle jerk. This is the reason why I brought you on here. It's because community does make people feel better about themselves.
We need it.
Community is one huge thing. It's even down to psychology. Dude,
We need it.
Before I let you go, we gotta play a mini game. We will talk about this.
Okay,
All
what
right.
are we doing?
So this is called the reverse role improv game. I'm gonna present a scenario. I know you're theater, so I'm trying to bust
Yep.
out your acting chops. I'm
Oh
gonna
my
present
God,
a
you're
scenario,
embarrassing.
and one of us, I don't know if you have dice on you, one of us has to roll D20.
Do I have dice on me?
There you go.
Okay, got it.
Okay. Depending on how well the D20 rolls, you'll either have to improv act or DM describe what happens. So I give you a scenario, we roll
Okay.
for it, and then you just finish the scene.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. You are trying to join Robin Hood's Merry Men in Tights. Not just the married man. We're not talking Kevin Costner Robin Hood. We're talking Carrie Elwes. Tights. We're men in tights. Like, yeah.
Okay.
You got the egg with the pantyhose and everything. They say they want you to test your archery skills. Go ahead and roll D20 for me, please.
Rolling. That's a 15.
What happens?
All right, so I roll up, and I've got my tights hiked up to the nips with an open coat with some tails, and of course, the little hat.
Yes.
And I grab my bow, and I grab 3 arrows, and hooking this, I don't know archery terms, string,
Yes.
I pull back, look at Robin Hood, and say, watch this, and let go without looking at the target. And I'm gonna roll. I rolled a 2. And so those 3 arrows go in 3 opposite directions. One hits the friar, what is his name? Friar something.
Ass! Somebody shot me in the ass!
And one hits a tree, and one hits Robin Hood in the leg. Took an arrow to the knee himself.
I didn't even ask you to do 2 rolls, man. That's awesome. All right. Well,
Oh, sorry. You should have DM'd. My bad.
All right, you're good. No, it's fine. This is exactly what I do. It's yes and. First rule of DMs.
This is-
First rule of acting. Yes and.
Yes, and
All right.
Okay, that's a whole nother discussion that T and I get in a fight about daily. Is yes and.
Yes.
And where it sits in the D&D.
Yes.
I say improv, yes and, always 100%. D&D, yes, but no and is acceptable, depending on the role.
Yes, exactly. We could tell stories of how many times where a yes and ended up just becoming a trope of your campaign. Anyway.
Oh my god.
Okay, scenario 2.
The stories sometimes.
The stories, that's it. You are a barrel-chested dragon-moored bard named Blackjack. Not Jack Black, Blackjack. You're performing at a tavern. Improv it based on how well the role went. Role performance, and then tell me how it went, and then show me how it went. Talk to me, Goose.
I need to salt test this die. I rolled a 2 again.
Roll a 2 again? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, Blackjack!
What's going on, guys? We are tenacious. Ruffles spikes because Dragonborns don't have hair. Pulls out my loot. It's completely out of tune. The bar stops, not for good reasons. Lunch ladies are sexy because they give me the farts with their beans, and I'm into both. That's a 2.
That's a 2. I'd be inspired. I'll take that. I'll take my D12 on that one. I'll take my D12 inspiration on that. All right. Last one.
God damn it.
You are a rogue. It's all good, man. You're a rogue named Slinker. And you want to eat the rich. You've been tailing a wealthy dockside trading noble named Jeff Bezos, spelled GEPHBAYZOS. Roll and then tell me what kind of thievery you try to do.
All right. It's broken. It's fucking broken.
Oh, wow.
What I roll?
What did you roll? You tell me, bruh.
What do you think I rolled?
Now 20 or 2 again?
I'll fucking do again.
I'm not gonna do it again.
How? Bye. You're going to jail.
Remember, Jeff Bezos is real life Lex Luthor. You might have had Dice Kryptonite in his pocket.
He did. All right, so donning my. Here's how I break it. I wear the corpo given button up that they give you on day 1 of training. I knock a guy out. I steal his shirt, and I walk in, and I'm gonna do a good 4-hour shift at his facility, so that absolutely no one's asking a single question, because I've been there. I mean, what are they gonna ask now? And then I'm on my iPad or fantasy tablet.
Yes.
I'm gonna get a weird alert. What is this? I need to ask management. So I'm gonna take it all the way to the top, and I'm gonna find Bezos's
Jeff Bezos. Yeah.
Jeff Bezos' office, who obviously has a. Does he have a bathroom near his office?
It's fantasy world. If he's bougie, he has a loo. You don't
Okay.
know a house. He has his own.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna slip inside that, just outside his office, because he's weird about bathroom smells, which has been canon on the floor. And as soon as he leaves, I'm gonna walk in, and Jeff Bezos feels like a guy. Do I have to roll? I want to sneak on his computer,
Please.
and I'm gonna see if he's the kind of guy that saves his passwords anywhere.
Magical tablet computer roll. Go for it.
Okay, I'm not using that same D20. Hold on. Please hold for dice. Okay, this one's sparkly. It's cute.
Yeah.
She's cute.
Let's
Okay.
do it.
14.
Better. Awesome.
So with a 14, does he say passwords? Can I find it?
You see a picture of his fourth wife, and because it was his fourth wife, he doesn't remember the names of all his wives. He actually labeled the wife. You gotta get you kind of have a hint that that might be a password. You try it. You're like because you're like nah. Ginny spelled Ginny. Okay, click. Bing.
Okay, so now I'm in, buddy. And I'm going to search like every bank possible. And eventually, with using that same password, I find Fifth Third Bank. Or it's some account off of the coast
Fifth edition,
Sweden.
Third Bank.
Yep. And I'm going to just discreetly wire transfer all of his money to a strange account that I have in Barbados. And it's going to sit there for 30 days until I can collect. And I'm going to rob this motherfucker blind. And send me something from Amazon.
Boom. But I will.
But that's going to be my downfall.
I'll-
Is that I sent myself something from Amazon and then they knew.
Then they knew. I was about to say, the other way you could have like botched it with the number 2 is you sent it. Rihanna's from Barbados. You might have wired her all of Bezos' money by accident. Shit, wrong Barbados account.
I forgot that the 2 was prevalent the whole time.
Right? And yeah, there you go. Perfect. See, I figured this would happen. We start with community building, and then we go to tabletop because those are right now. Between you and me are two big ones. So
Yes, obsessed with both.
yes, I hate to drop the mic on you, but Bozer, bruh, where, if they haven't already, where can they find you?
Find us anywhere, search For Geeks by Geeks. That's true on Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, if you're on Facebook, Twitter, if you're on Twitter. I've given.
I hate
Twitter,
to say
honestly.
I am. It's my no filter brain dump.
And that's exactly where no filter should be.
Yes.
Give him all the problems.
Yes.
He deserves them.
Yes, exactly. More so than MMA fight with Mark Zuckerberg.
Please make it happen. I want to see that. I'd pay ungodly amounts to literally watch that pay-per-view. Yeah.
All right, so yeah, 4 Geeks by Geeks. Buzzer, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for being
for
only
having
my
me.
second guest on this. Thank you for being the mental template when I rebranded. It was like, man. So you were that inspiring. You were that like being when I was.
Honestly, that's everything. That's so, and I never told you this, but that means so much. Like that's what 4 Geeks is about. Thank you. Oh my God.
It's funny. I
Go
knew we were
forth
going to
and
have this
conquer.
conversation. I knew it, but the thing is, the last time we had the opportunity to do this conversation, we were at C2E2 and everyone was lit. You and me
Yeah,
included.
me especially.
Yeah, and we're like, man, I was
We
like,
get way too lit at C2.
we don't get way too lit at C2. And I'm like, man, we were going to talk shop, but damn, we were too lit for this. So we saved it for the episode. But again, thank you so much. Guys, if you love this content, make sure to like and subscribe. You can find 4 Geeks by Geeks on Instagram. You can find me on Instagram at heroesforge.coach if you don't already know. But we'll be seeing you all next time. Always remember, be the most heroic version of yourself and leave the world just a little bit better than how you found it. We out, buddy. Peace.